Hello and welcome back, Magic Hat here, back in a crypto video. Hope you guys do well, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a bullish video here in Pulsechain and in crypto in general. Guys, this video might change your mind about PHEX and EHEX. So watch the whole video through. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for all the support. I read all your comments and thank you very much for the continued support, especially from the DeFi Insiders, the people who are choosing to support my small channel. And guys, a quick highlighted comment here is from this person. Everything is energy. 2210. EHEX is the boss. That's well said, and we're going to be getting to reasons why EHEX is also bullish. Okay, now a few months ago I wasn't holding either PHEX or EHEX up until I changed my mind about PHEX. Started holding it because it's part of Richard Heart's core ecosystem. We're going to be covering more reasons why, but I have a different set of reasons why I'm holding EHEX as well. Okay, one of the main reasons, of course, is that this is a token that survived a minus 99% decrease in price, but it still has a great community. That's absolutely crazy. That's called conviction, but there's even more reasoning behind that. So watch the whole video through, and I hope you guys really enjoy this video. Without further ado, guys, look at Pulsechain today. Looks green, looks beautiful, kind of reminds me of ATROPA. ATROPA garden, everything's green and nice. Shout out to them, by the way. Moving on. The whole crypto market today is kind of moving sideways, nothing too much to be expected. But do keep note that I think we're kind of seeing a bounce back, a beginning of a bounce back of the Ethereum/BTC ratio. This is a good sign. Okay, this is one of the early indicators of the alt season kicking off. So please do keep in mind, this is why I'm making these videos now, because I do understand these are cheap prices that we are looking at. Okay, we are basically in depression. We're in the final shakeout where a lot of people are, being fooled and selling out on a loss, etc., or fudding themselves. Okay, but these front row seats, guys, may not be seen again. You might need to wait till past the bull market peak and wait another 3.5 years to then make the money that you could have made from this bull run. Okay, this is why. Time is of the essence. Bull runs never last as well. So, yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, you being in Pulsechain, you're already winning. So, yeah, it's all about leverage, and I made a tweet about it. But without further ado, I just wanted to show you guys kind of a quick price prediction for both EHEX and PHEX. Now, I made a tweet about this before, and you can see here my kind of, I would say it's a realistic, slightly optimistic, not too optimistic here, because I like to keep it more on the realistic sides. Combined EHEX and PHEX price prediction of Q1, so quarter 1 of 2025, is a combined price of $1. Okay, keep this in mind. It's around 150x roughly from when you add them both together. But the thing that you need to realize is, what is the ratio of EHEX and PHEX? Now, if you look into it, you can see that this number right here, is around 2 zeros and 1 8. And then we look at PHEX and is 0.0057. Now, you could say this is more of a 1-to-3 ratio, but I think usually it's around that 1-to-4 ratio. It keeps jumping between 1-to-4, 1-to-3 ratio. So if we do reach $1 combined, I'm going to be telling you guys the reasons why I'm bullish on this. Okay, you would see kind of a price of PHEX of around anywhere from 75 to 66 cents. In my opinion, that's kind of one of my main price milestone, kind of take profit levels, I guess. Always think about taking profits. Always have milestones, ladies and gentlemen. Don't kind of be the last one holding the bag. Bull runs never last. I have to say this. Okay, crypto is a solo sport. No one's gonna hate on you if you decided to take profits early on. Whatever, you do you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you do you. Okay, but roughly PHEX, I'm kind of making that realistic price prediction of around 66 to 75 cents. I'll be very happy with that. And of course, I've seen people say $1 PHEX, $5 PHEX. Hey, I want to be sticking around as well for that. So I will never be, I want to have some skin in the game, you know what I mean? And of course, now moving on to EHEX, okay, you can see now because of the ratio, you could see, if it was 1-to-4 ratio, it'll be around 25 cents to, 33 cents, for example, okay? Again, I'm keeping it kind of realistic. You never know. I've seen people say we're going to reach back to all-time high, and that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be calculating how much volume, okay, a cumulative buy pressure volume is needed to reach to make EHEX reach all-time high of 50 cents. Okay, now we're not going to be doing the simple thing where we're going to take, you know, the quantity, the circulation token, you times that by the current price to get the market cap, and then we're going to do the new price times that by circulation, and then we're going to take the difference. No, that's not the right way to do it, because of course, guys, market caps, as we all know, I hope everyone knows here, they're misleading, they're heavily inflated. This is not real dollar value. The best thing to look at is to look at liquidity, the real dollar value, especially you know, on V2 liquidity, because they're symmetric liquidity, or specifically on the buy side, right? When you look at, like, you know, the stable coin side, or the wrapped ETH here as well. Okay, this is the buy, this is the bid side, and you can see this is 262,000. Now, one of the main reasons why I'm also, and this is very new, this is very recent, guys, I've changed my mind. I'm now believing in both PHEX and EHEX. Okay, follow me. The reasons why is because EHEX is very thin in liquidity compared to PHEX. Okay, now I'm going to be bullish on both. Of course, as we know, the ratios, technically we can expect more, way more from PHEX for a lot of reasons. Let's cover PHEX first. When we look at PHEX, yes, it has a lot of liquidity. Now, this doesn't mean that Richard Heart all of a sudden might come in, lurk slowly, and pull liquidity away. This could happen, by the way, to all the Richard Heart core tokens. This could happen to INC, this can happen to Pulsex, etc., etc. Pull some liquidity away, make it lighter weight, and then it can easily be more volatile. It can easily get the price pushed up. Okay, so, and the second reason, guys, of course, hopefully we all already know about this, is the sacrifice funds. Now, I'm pretty sure that Richard Heart is not going to be using the sacrifice funds to buy back EHEX, so that is out of the kind of the equation. Okay, but we're going to be talking about that in a second. Think about, let's focus more on about PHEX. So, of course, we all know about the sacrifice funds. You know, they're holding a total of 172,000 Ethereum. By the time Ethereum reaches, like, you know, the first milestone, in my opinion, is around the 7,300 mark. The sacrifice funds that we have here will be worth over $1 billion. Now, imagine that getting bridged over, rotated in towards Pulsechain, and then being fed into the Richard Heart core tokens, PDAI reaching $1. A lot of things will happen. It'll be absolutely, you know, I want to be part of that, guys. You know what I mean? This is why PHEX and INC are my two favorite Richard Heart core tokens. So yeah, but of course, now moving on to the EHEX side, my main thing here is talking about, of course, the fact that it's very low on liquidity. It will require significantly less volume to get it back to the all-time high, which is basically around what? If you can see right here, it's basically around 50 cents. Okay, we're going to be calculating how much it is today, plus because of the incredibly low price that we are right now, and it went even lower from that tweet. Some people call it the self-capitulation tweet from Richard Heart, where he basically, you know, talked better about PHEX, right? But you know, recently, guys, in the past few days, we basically saw a 50% increase. So if we reset this, and if we kind of zoom in, if we do a daily chart, you can see a 50% increase, and this is, or 40 something percent. This is why I'm kind of keeping my eye on this. It seems like, hey, you know, I'm kind of signaling a bottom here where the risks is minimum, because I can only see that we could only go up from here, right? If we didn't do a 200x, oh well, we're gonna do a 50x, we're gonna do a 100x. You know what I mean? I'd rather buy and wait than waiting and buying. Not financial advice, do remember that. This video has nothing to do with financial advice, it's purely educational. But this is kind of my thought process. Are you following me so far? But of course, next up, we're going to be jumping in my iPad. I'm going to be explaining in a mathematical way why and how we got to the number that I'm going to be claiming in a second. How much volume buy pressure is needed to get EHEX to reach 50 cents. The total buy volume, we're going to be having a few assumptions that I need to clear out the way. So yeah, but you know, before we do that, by the way, if I go back to my profile here on Twitter, which by the way, I hope you guys all follow me there. I made a tweet, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I'm making videos about this. I made this illustration here. Choose your leverage wisely. Okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're strong. They're going to go nowhere. In terms of, I mean, they're going nowhere. I mean, in terms of like, they'll always be here. Okay, Bitcoin, the digital gold, Ethereum is the digital oil or digital silver. They're always going to basically keep going up every cycle, but of course, do expect diminishing returns. It's just their nature. They're already mainstream. They're, rate of growth will be slowed down, obviously. So for example, here to a $10,000 price will be a 9x. Bitcoin to 150,000 will be an 8x from kind of the bottom of the cycle. And of course, Pulsechain reaching 1 penny will be a 200x. Now, is it going to reach 1 penny? That's very aspirational in my opinion. So obviously, it's all about taking leverages of Pulsechain, the Pulse native token, which is basically INC. I think INC is a very good one. Same thing with PHEX and of course PDAI. And now you got, okay, what's leverages of PDAI? ATROPA, etc., etc. There's tons of tokens and of course meme coins and stuff like that. People with different, kind of subset of communities, or like the meme coins and stuff like that. But of course, now going back to it, ladies and gentlemen, the part that you all kind of been waiting for, the part that I've kind of been researching as well. What is the number required to get EHEX to reach 50 cents? We're now going to be having a blank sheet where I'm going to basically come up with my method of reaching the number that I'm going to claim, of how much volume is required. Of course, we're going to have a few assumptions before we start, by the way. So I'm just going to quickly add them here. So assumptions will be, obviously, we're going to have a simplified model, right? And that will basically mean that we will assume no cells occur. Okay, so basically this volume is basically purely by pressure. Okay, and of course the second one here, we're not going to be regarding not concerned about slippage, and of course market resistance. Okay, those are a few assumptions that I want to kind of get at the way. So do remember this. This is a simplified model. Yeah, but moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, now we want to be starting the kind of the calculations. This will be kind of a great segment for a lot of us to learn a few things and how things work. But of course, we're going to be focusing on Uniswap. This is the main DEX that holds most of the liquidity, if anything, all the liquidity of the EHEX pools. And how does it work is, of course, using the formula to keep it very simple. X times Y is equal to K. This is the constant, what is it called? It's basically the constant K, for the constant product formula. Okay, K. And X and Y resemble the two different tokens in the dual asset liquidity. We're mainly focused on V2 type of liquidity, guys, okay? Because of course it's symmetric liquidity. It'll always be the equal amount of value on both sides, but the ratio does change over time, okay? So keep this in mind. But moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a few equations that we're going to have to kind of use and memorize. Okay, so one of the main things is, first of all, let's come with the variables that we're gonna need. So number one, I'm gonna be using let's go with T. T is gonna be, ladies and gentlemen, this will resemble hex. Okay, this is the hex token, of course, EHEX. And then we're going to be using S. I like to use S because, I think of stable coins. I think of tokens that will be used to buy hex. So things could be DAI, could be USDT, USDC, could be even wrapped Ethereum, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to keep it the general S for stable coin. So I'm just going to say stable coins. I'm just going to say buy side, right? This is the buy / bid side of the liquidity. And this is the ask side of liquidity. Okay, another variable here. There's going to be a few variables before we start going into things, and this will really help. The first steps are usually the hardest. Okay, so we're going to be looking at T0. T0, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the quantity of X tokens in basically liquidity pools, right? I'm going to put that parentheses between the S, in multiple pools, obviously. And I'm going to be doing S0, basically will be quantity of stables tokens in LPs. Okay, this is basically the current quantity of hex tokens, the current quantity of stable tokens. I'm just going to put that here as well. Current is the key there. Okay, now speaking of that as well, we're going to be going into P0. What is P0? This is going to be one of the first formulas that we're going to be using, and that will be S0 over T0, and that itself will be equal to the current price of a hex, which now when I look over the screen, it will be 0.0018. Now I could go even more, but I'm going to keep that number as simple as that. There's 2 more digits, but I'm going to keep it at that. That is the current price of it. Now as well, now once we scroll down, there will be a few other variables that we want to find out, right? So there will be, if we scroll down here, there will be P1, and that is going to be the target price. And the target price, ladies and gentlemen, and of course we're going to kind of it will be S1 over T1 is equal to target price of 50 cents. So of course, what is S1? S1 will be the new, right? Or basically the target quantity, new quantity of stables at target price. And now we have T1. This is, again, you have to follow along here. T1 will be equal to still to T0, even at the new price target. Reason being because, of course, the ratio of X times Y is equal to K has to change. But there won't be more hex tokens. There'll be more on the buy side of the tokens. There'll be more stables. Again, the ratios will change. This is why we will still have the same amount. Okay, so same amount of X tokens. I hope this makes sense so far, ladies and gentlemen. What I need to do. So the next part of the problem, we're going to need to calculate the total amount of liquidity in the LP pools, basically in the LPs. So this one will be equal to, now we will have a formula here, okay, ladies and gentlemen, you want to follow along, and it's basically S0 plus T0 times P0 is equal to what is the current actual total amount of liquidity. Now this is what I've kind of looked into. You know, I'm going to basically round it closely, estimate it, keep it kind of very simple. And when I look into the eHex side, it seems like we have around $1 million worth of liquidity, ladies and gentlemen, in the eHex side. This is extremely thin liquidity. This is why it's very easy to be volatile up and down. It will require less volume to turn it. Like, I think even yesterday I saw that it was just almost like a 90k volume, and we basically pushed us up like a 20%, which is absolutely crazy. So yeah, it really kind of puts it into perspective. This is why this video will really help a lot of us to get a grasp and be like, hold on, eHex is a lottery ticket as well. You know what I mean? I'm in both, but of course, you know, one has a higher ratio than the other one, so it might mean it might be better to be more on the PHEX side than your holdings in eHex side. But of course, being both, you're getting the best of both worlds. It feels great. Okay, this is why I wanted to make this video, so I can get you guys on my same page. Not financial advice, this is mainly the mathematical side. Okay, so this is the formula. We have S0 plus T0 times P0 is equal to the $1 million liquidity that we have. The next part of this is that we're going to be using this definition right here. Okay, we're going to be using this formula to kind of this is what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to rearrange it a little bit so that we get S0 is equal to, and then what we're going to do, we're going to times T0 on both sides. So it's going to be 0.0018 times T0. So now, when we go on this side right here, we know that S0 is equal to T0 times, again, you can use X or you can use dots to indicate a multiplication, 0.0018. Yeah, 18. So now we're going to take this further into the equation next up, and what we're going to do, we're going to replace this, ladies and gentlemen, with this instead to further simplify it. So it will be now T0 times 0.0018. I know I'm not consistent with my multiplications here, but follow along. Plus T0 times again 0.0018. Okay, now I do understand that is kind of complicated, so because there's decimals, so I'm going to do x instead, and I'm going to do is equal to 1 million. So now the next step would be to simplify it further, and you can kind of see 2T0 times 0.0018. Then further is equal to 1 million on both sides. So again, we're going to be doing even further rearrangements. So what we're going to do to simplify it, so we can solve for T0. Again, do you understand? T0 is the current token amount of hex in the liquidity pools. So you can kind of cross-check it and see what is the current circulation of hex. So this will kind of be a midway validation of is our mathematical kind of on par roughly. Okay, so we can do is equal to, what we need to do is now we have 1 million divided by 2 times 0.0018. So we will further solve this. I do have a trusty handy calculator here, basically almost a decade old. Shout out to Casio. So I'm going to be doing that, creating 1 million. Let me double check I have enough zeros. Yep. Times 2 times 0.0018. And the answer, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be, let me double check, 277 million. I'm going to double check that again. Yep, 277, obviously 777 recurring, and this is the amount of hex in the pools. Okay, so it kind of checks out. I'm going to quickly double check this as well. So looking at a pool here with $262,000 worth, and that has 143 million. So roughly, give or take, that does add up, because if you think about it, 262,000 worth is equal to 243, and then when you times that by 2, because of course half the liquidity is going to be in stables, half the liquidity will be in hex, times that by 2, that was basically roughly to this, it's going to be around 280 million hex. So I'm very happy with the number that we have here. Of course, there's going to be a plus or minus error percentage of, I'm going to assume, like, what, 5% max in my opinion. So I'm really, really happy with this. We can move forward. The next thing that we want to do is solve for S0. Now, we did simplify it and take it out the way, but now we want to bring it back. So do you remember this one right here? So what we're going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing S0 is equal to T0 times 0.0018. So we're going to further substitute. So S0 is going to be, we just calculate that. So that's 277 million. I'm going to just simplify that, and of course times by the current price, because this is technically this is P0, by the way. So if you kind of forgot, this is where we originally got it, is from this formula right here, right there, this formula. So yeah, anyways, once we move back into this, we're going to times that by the current price, which is 0.0018. So now we will further solve for S0, which is the current amount of, we're going to assume it's stable coins only. So we're going to say the current amount of stable coins in the current liquidity right now. So I'm going to be doing, so once we calculate that, I get a number of 499,999.99, obviously, but we're going to keep it very simple to the next whole number. So this exactly kind of matches up, ladies and gentlemen, with the whole $1 million liquidity. So obviously this is around, stable coins assumed. They can be wrapped Ethereum, but we're just going to keep it stable coins to be simple. So these are the number of tokens on the liquidity in total on the buy/bid side. Okay, so that's how much we have. Now, moving forward, we're going to be taking this number to the next part of the equation. Okay, it only gets easier from here, don't worry. Now, we need to now solve for T1, and we need to solve for S1, okay? Because P1 is basically the price at the price target, which is what? 0.50. That's kind of the price target that we all want, we all dreaming of, right? what do we want to do? Now, recall the basic formula here, which is basically P1 is equal to S1 over T1. Obviously, we know this is half a dollar. At the same time, do remember that I explained that T1 is equal to T0, guys, okay? Because hex stays the same. Hex tokens, same. Okay, do remember that. So that simplifies a lot of things, okay? So keep these two formulas in mind. The next part here is that we want to solve for S1, okay? Because technically, we already solved for T1. Okay, we already know that because we already said that it's equal. So now when we go back and solve for this, how can we solve that? We're going to be using kind of another formula here, which is basically S1 is equal to S0 plus delta S. And delta S is basically the change in S. So literally, S1 is equal to S0 plus the change of S, right? Simple as that. So what we're going to be doing next is honestly further making it simple. So if you now imagine if we could divide both sides by T1, what do you think will change? The left-hand side will now magically turn into half a cent, further simplifying the equation, because of course we already know that. We already defined S1 over T1, even though we don't know what S1 is, because we divided both sides with T1. This means the equation is still correct. So it'll be 50 cent is equal to S0 plus delta S over, and now we're going to be switching T1 to be T0, because of course we already know that T1 is equal to T0. So now when we further simplify this, we will have 50 cents plus, 50 cent is equal to S0, which we already solved, which is up there, right? Do you remember that? Right here, S0 is that, and of course solving for T0, T0 is, so if we scroll down a little bit, it was basically this one. So we're going to be using those to fill in the blanks here. So if I change that to black, so it will be 499,000 plus delta S over, and here was 277 million, 277 million. Again, just going to simplify that. I'm not going to write all the sevens. And then now further, guys, we need to what? We need to solve for delta S. So we have to rearrange. How do we do that? How do we do that so that we have only delta S on one side? So for us to get delta S to be on one side alone, this will be kind of a tricky part here. We need to basically times both sides by 277. Now what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be kind of basically rewriting the whole equation on the other side. So it was basically 0.5 is equal to, if I remember, I believe it was 499,999 plus delta S divided by 277 million. So I'm going to be showing you guys kind of what I'm doing here. I think this will be very useful for all of us. We want to times both sides by 277 million to kind of cancel out, right? Times 277 million to cancel out. So the next thing that will happen is basically 277 million times 50 cent will be equal to, now I'm going to show you guys my workings. I don't really need to do this, but I already know that we will have 277 parentheses 999 plus delta S divided by 277 million. Now, again, we kind of already know when you divide by the same number, it cancels out. So therefore, the next step will be 277 million times 50 cent is equal to 499,999 plus delta S. The next step is obviously this, the easiest part, which is subtracting, let's subtract 499k. And then we do the same thing on the side. You have to do the same thing on both sides to keep the equilibrium. Okay, and then we are gonna get a happy, 277 million times 0.5, and then we put that in parentheses to kind of help us to prioritize this. Then we get a minus 499,999 is equal to change of S. So now the final step, guys, is what is S? The kind of the whole, you know, part of the video is this number. This number will be the dollar amount, the accumulative, ladies and gentlemen, the accumulative buy pressure that is required to get us to the target price. So what I'm going to be doing is 277,777,777. Double check that's in millions times 0.5. I'm going to be putting that all in the parentheses and then minusing that with 499,999. And the answer, ladies and gentlemen, the answer, whoo, look at this. The answer is 138,288 kind of recurring. Again, I'm going to keep it 00 here just to simplify. That is the trading volume. Okay, this is not injected liquidity, don't get that mistaken. This is the trading volume, cumulative, right? By pressure required to reach 0.50x. And this is why I am buying and I'm slowly DCAing EHEX from now on. I think it's a great timing because we've seen it go down and down and down. I think we're just about, this is, I think, ladies and gentlemen, basically I would say, you know, the bottom. Okay, who can call the bottom? Honestly, the more you call the bottom, it'll create new bottoms. But I think this is a great time for me to be entering this. It's kind of an epiphany phase. It's like, hold on, PHEX is amazing. Look at EHEX. As I said, they do have a ratio generally. So if you see, you know, PHEX, it's kind of an arbitrage opportunity, honestly. You know, PHEX is kind of, PHEX to EHEX ratio is usually around, 1 to 4 or around 1 to 3, anywhere between them, to be honest. And that basically, at my prediction, which is basically at $1 accumulated combined, right? I'm looking at EHEX anywhere between, anywhere between 25 cents to 33 cents. And this is kind of my realistic, conservative, in my opinion. Again, nothing is guaranteed. This is crypto at the end of the day, guys. This is not financial advice. We're looking at PHEX here because of the ratios as well. We're looking at 0.75 cents, or technically I should just write 75 cents. I don't know. But you guys already know what I mean. Again, it's literally between those two numbers, right? To 0.66 cents or 66 cents. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys kind of learned along the way, how I got to that number. We're looking at a volume of 138 million. That's the final number that is required to get EHEX to the target price, back to all-time high, ladies and gentlemen, back to that number that made tons of new millionaires into the world. Thanks to HEX, thanks to Richard Heart. HEX is basically kind of a replacement, a very valid replacement to Bitcoin. Permissionless. You get an APY. You can stake it. You can have it where time pays you for holding it. I mean, there's tons of people who are very convicted. They made the maximum stake, which is basically the 15-year stake, the 555. That's where it all comes from. I mean, this is a very strong community. I doubt you can find any stronger community that has survived a minus 99%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I think from now on I would label myself as a Hexican, because I'm in both PHEX and EHEX. I hope you guys like this video. Guys, I'm going to end the video there. It is 42 minutes. I understand it's very long for a few of us, but thank you very much. You guys have a great weekend, and I will catch you soon. Bye-bye.